Lafayette Mandela, Baby Fahudier is your favorite warrior, Black Panther, back in the building, continuing our Insheshe interview series with my comrade, teacher, Baba Ogundiran. What's going on today?
Oh, everything's good. Everything's peace. Hopefully, everyone's doing all right this morning.
All right, let me take care of a few administrative things.
That's fine. I'm trying to figure a way that the camera doesn't cut off my head. There we go.
See, does this every time, and I have to correct it. There we go. There we go. All right. For everybody watching, thank you for tuning in. Please, if you're on YouTube watching, I misspelled please. I just see that. But I can put it right here. Check out my article that Shout Out Atlanta did on me. I appreciate the love. Shout out Atlanta. I'm going to put it in the Facebook chat as well. For some reason, StreamYard and Facebook don't work that well together. Yeah, it is in there as well. So, all right. We got that out the way. Let's do some shameless plugs before we start. I was going to say Spears of the Mossi. Spear Masters Institution is a comprehension book for anyone. It's got some different lessons in there. This is volume 1. I do have an article in here. My article is entitled Science versus Common Sense and How They Conflict. Pick up my brother Chavez's book, Religious Beliefs Revisited, the Tep Hesep edition. Tep Hesep meaning correct method in Romney Kemet, which is the language of the Egyptians, illustrated through Ses Medu-Neter, which is the script of Egyptians. So check that out as well. If you got some kids in the house, Spear Masters Institution coloring book, pick that up as well. We're still in a pandemic, so what SARS-CoV-2 taught me by my brother Sean P. Iniharet. Picked this up to get vetted information about SARS-CoV-2, which is the disease that COVID-19, the virus, causes. We've had this vetted by doctors and medical folks alike, so pick that up. And Spear Masters, Volume 4, a historical survey of the minds of African warrior scholars. This is the 4th edition by my brothers at the Kofi Pasai research team and Mossi Warrior Clan. As you can see, it is Dinka approved, Dinka being a ethnic group from Sudan. You can pick up all of those. Oh, got one more. Beautiful Lessons About Kimoyo by my brother Kofi Pasai. It's an African spirituality text covering a multitude of topics. So you can pick up all those by contacting Kofi directly, going to sametreedifferentbranch.com or going to Amazon. But we would like you to go to Same Tree Different Branch so the author can receive the maximum funds.
All that.
Okay. And with that being said, for those that are new to the channel,
warriors come out to play. Warriors Africa. I had a reason to be born there. So we have a God. We have our gods, and we have our mode of worship.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap go. Come on. Kings, got us good like we ain't trapped brown. All my brothers, put your hand on the chest now.
Freedom's what we need, more solutions is the key. Wave the banner of the free, that's the red, black, and green. Bringing truth to the streets, water get no enemy. If it's peace, we at ease. If it's war, we don't cease. EYE's on the crackers and police. Never slack up even when we free, cause we ain't free until we get the land, that's the green. Black power, new African, liberated from the thieves, nothing better else to be.
Queens, nod your head if you know you got soul. Women, snap your fingers, let your head wrap roll. Come on.
All right, that was my brother Oluwaseun with the track. You can pick up his music on Apple Music. I believe it's called Ashe. But talented brother that we decided to showcase for our intro. So, without further ado, let's get into it. Baba Ogundiran.
Yes, sir.
What is an Apete?
An Apete is a wife of a Babalawo.
A wife of a Babalawo. For those unfamiliar, Babalawo is a priest of Ifa. So, and you're saying an Apete is a wife of a priest of Ifa, essentially.
Yes, that's what a Babalawo is, a priest of Ifa.
So, how early in a woman's development can she know that she is supposed to be an Apete?
This can actually be done at the Esentaye for the child, either for a woman. It's going to be 3 days after her birth. It could be come up in that reading itself, that divination itself. So shortly after birth.
So shortly after birth, a woman receives a type of divination, and in that divination, it can tell her that she's supposed to be later in her life an Apete.
Yes, to be married to a Babalawo, or at any other time that she might end up getting, particularly an Ifa divination or an Erindilogun divination. Both of them can have verses that speak about a woman becoming or supposed to marry a Babalawo.
Interesting. So we see a lot of people these days coming back from Nigeria with honors, different titles, chieftaincy titles, of all sorts. Is a Apete a title?
Ooh, that's a tricky one. It's not a title in a sense that like it's a religious or civic title where it rises you in a sense like a chieftaincy. It's not like that at all. But it is a kind of title that one receives when one marries a Babalawo.
So not in the sense of to be, the big medallions that they get, and
no, so like wearing the Iyun beads, things that symbolize chieftaincy. No, not like that. But that's not to say there is not some respect that is given to them.
Mm-hmm.
But no, it is not like a chieftaincy. At least nothing that I have been taught.
So would it be proper to when one is writing their name to put like Apete Iya so and so, you know what I'm saying? Like as a part of to address them formally as an Apete? Would that be improper, or is
no?
That...
I mean, I guess that would really be up to the individual. If the individual wants them to know that they are an Apete, there's nothing really wrong with it. It's just announcing something that's giving a little insight to who the person is or what they're about, as names particularly do. And this way is also somewhat of a title, but no, I don't see anything wrong with it. But to the best of my knowledge, it's really not supposed to be used as like a title. Like if I say Oloye something, now I don't know if there are any titles that have Apetebi in it. I don't know that for certain, but just Apetebi itself is really not supposed to be looked at like as a chieftaincy title. But yes, someone can put it in front of their name if they wish.
While I'm at it, let me address some of the comments in the chat before we go a little further. This is a lie. Sean does this all the time. He goes live on this channel at the wee hours of the night, and I get notifications. So, Sean, I'm not trying to hear that from you today. Teti, Ursama, Atras, and Nefru. Peace, brother, for joining the channel. Sister Diana Adeyefa, Jenny. I probably said your last name in an African tone as well, but it may not be. But this is a sister that I met in a hoodoo group who's also an Orisha worshiper. So I'm glad that you're tuning in with us.
Oh, welcome.
Brother Infinite Minds, Dadani, back to you. So thank you for tuning in. Brother Chavis is in the building, whose book we put up earlier. So thank you for tuning in. And as my brother Sean said, like the show, share the show. Wake up, people. It's morning with the Mossi. Indeed. And it is indeed Isheshe time. Jama Mboka to my brother Kofi Pasad TV, who also was an author of what we showed earlier. And my brother Zane Montengo. Thank you for always supporting the channel, brother. Everything is everything. Appreciate you, brother, for tuning in. So going on with our questions. So a woman is told when she is born, it is in your destiny to be an epetebi, to marry a babalawo. What if she doesn't fulfill this destiny?
Like at any time in her life?
Right. What if she never
Like at
marries?
Well, I can't speak for certain. I don't know every woman that this has happened to, nor that I'm going to go try to chase down every woman that this has happened to or not happened to. But I would assume, like anything else, it will probably hinder your destiny in some way. It may not necessarily be in a negative way. It may stop you from receiving something or being blessed with something. The Babalao ends up providing a lot of things, in a sense, spiritual needs to his wife. So basically, all their spiritual needs are basically taken care of by their husband. It doesn't mean that they can't go out and get their own. It doesn't mean that they can't worship Odisha or become a priest in some other Odisha. It just means that automatically their husband is going to look out for their spiritual needs no matter what.
Through Ifa. So
through Ifa, yes.
Ifa, he got it.
It's through Ifa. Yeah, everything through Ifa.
And there's somebody out there that, she should be paired with for him to take care of this responsibility for her in the future.
And then, a lot of times the reason they're supposed to marry is because it's what's best according to their lot in life.
Right. Interesting. So,
I do want to say a sidebar. Just this has nothing to do with this directly, but kind of indirectly. Orunmila is not the only one that can claim a wife. I've also heard this with Obatala as well.
Oh, wow.
And then as far as like the title and name, kind of, those are slightly different. Someone who is initiated to Obatala and a woman who is initiated to Obatala, as they become married, she receives the title Yemo or Yemowo.
His wife.
Right.
One of, yeah.
Yeah, just to somewhat of a similarity because you always hear about Ifa, but there is, I've also heard it with Obatala.
I did not know that. That's interesting. Wow. So staying on that for a minute. If they both have Obatala shrines,
Mhm.
when she marries the male that is a Bob, I got Babala on the brain. As the Obatala,
Barbarossa.
yeah, Babalosha, or Babalorisha, would she receive a Yamowo pot if she didn't have one before?
Well, I actually have no idea, but I know there's going to be some problems because normally, someone can receive the immovable. No, like if I wanted to go receive it, I could receive it. It's not something that's you receive when you get a wife, or if it's not like that. So the object is the object. She just happens to get a title when this happens, somewhat similar to Apetepi.
That's interesting. Did not know that. So in a woman's development, she's in the culture, she's advancing, and she's of a certain age, and she does not have a babalawo yet, or a man that she is with.
Mhm.
Is there some type of like ceremony to like marry her temporarily to Ifa or something like that?
Yes. This is often called so. I've heard it called in different traditions. Sometimes it's called a petebi, like an apetebi ceremony. Not quite sure if that's right or wrong. I have heard it called sode, as mocking the idea from Okaran Sode from Ifa, which holds a lot of verses of uh, um, tying a bracelet around someone's wrist.
Mm.
And then Sode, that's what it means. So but it's also I think it's also kind of play on words with Isode, which is a marriage rite. They just dropped the I. But what it is they symbolically get married to the Ikin until such time they can find a husband who is a Babalao.
So
And this is basically what happens. It's not meant to really be a thing you hold on to. It's like a placeholder until now. I'm not saying if you tried all your life and didn't find anyone, that's one thing, But if you just went, hey, that's another thing. But it's I forgot. I lost my train of thought. And what was the question?
About the right that happens with a person that if they do not have a babalawo.
All the time. Yes. So yeah, the Sode ceremony, I'm just going to call it that, is a way of they can symbolically marry the female off to Orunmila symbolically, or off to a babalao, which she ends up receiving 16 ikin or 16 to 21 ikin. I'm not quite sure, somewhere in there. She also receives the ileki otutupan, particularly the bracelet. In some traditions, they even put a bekude seed in it.
So it seems like there's a little play on words with our brother Asari Motep calls paranimi, with the sode, okanran sode, isode.
Yeah.
From those that do not have Nisut Biti by brother Asari Motep, A Lesson in Kingship and Paranimi. Pick up that book and you'll see more of the play on words that Africans use with languages to illustrate thought. So yes, that is interesting.
Something else to point out. I don't know whether they do this in all traditions or just some traditions. I do know in Oreremos, they actually, when giving out the ceremony, they actually make small cuts before putting on the bracelet.
I have seen
particularly in the Sode ceremony is where I've seen
It's
it.
medicine put in the cuts.
Yeah, there it seems to be what looks like a bright green substance that's been mashed. What it looks like is where herbs have been taken to a grinding stone and just pummeled and grind. So it's like a bright green, you know. And then they make the cuts. They put the medicine in, Then they put the bracelet on.
Interesting, very interesting. We have an Oloye in the house. I must recognize her. Oloye. Oboshi said Agbo ato ashori wori wofun. So thank you for joining us, Oloye.
Maya losha ore.
So we definitely have to always acknowledge our peoples. So if a woman marries a man that is or shortly after they get married, it gets initiated to Ifa. He's not quite a Babalawo yet. A lawyer, great. She incognito. No, yeah. No. People, let me say this about people with time. They never want you to talk about that they got what they got. They always want you to forget. You put the stuff up on Facebook. We congratulate you. Then shh, don't mention it no more. Be quiet. Oh man, y'all crazy. Are you drinking the official water of Babalawos everywhere? What you doing?
I don't want to get into copyright troubles over the internet, I'll do it off camera, but I won't do it on camera.
All right. So going back to my question, if a woman marries a man, he gets initiated to Ifa, or he was initiated to Ifa. He hasn't been through all his training for to become a Babalawo, But he's married to this woman. Is she an Epete B at that time, or how does that work?
That would be a good question. Probably better answered by an actual Babalao. But if I had to take a guess, or if it was up to me, because that's what my guess is going to be anyway, I would wait until the person actually has proper training to be a Babalao. Because even though you get initiated to Ifa and you're in training, you're still considered an Awo. You're not a Babalao yet. That has to be confirmed upon you by who's ever teaching you or who's ever apprenticeship you're under. So that's more, and there might be some leeway in there, but I don't feel that I have the knowledge to speak about that, because that's inside EFA workings. If that makes any sense.
Oh, understood.
Yeah, because things can be different. It really depends on the student. It really depends on the student a lot of times.
The screen really quickly.
Okay. What in the?
Moving on.
You laughing at a lawyer? Yep.
That's you she talking about. You. So what are some responsibilities of an Epetebi? Because you're married to a Babalawo. He does Ifa, he takes care of your spiritual needs of Ifa. But what are some of her roles and responsibilities with this title?
All right. Well, she needs to be able to actually worship Ifa, because she needs to be able to take care of Ifa. And this also, in a sense, may even go into shrine setup, providing and taking care of Ifa, how to clean Ifa. So, this happens, if they have Ifa, we're married to Ikin, then they should know this anyway. because they still got to provide and take care of those ikin. They should be keeping the ose of Ifa of their Apetebi, especially if they have ikin, and they don't actually have a physical husband. But other times when it comes into larger groups, they are responsible sometimes for, they're providing. I don't want to say they always cook for their husbands, because Yoruba men cook. They actually love cooking. So I don't think it plays kind of the same dynamic as we have here. But a lot of times they do a lot of the butchering of the animals, a lot of the cooking, during spiritual work. So there's a lot of things they can actually know and be very adept at just through the worshiping of Ifa. If you really think of all what comes with that, just in worship, you have to know how to cook food, life force offerings. So on top of, all the other offerings, how to maintain it, how to clean it, how to keep up with the Yosei, or the proper way of cleaning the one's Ifa, of counting them out, so there's a lot of different things that they should know. Within a larger group, they actually play, they help all the rest of the Babalaos out too. They will serve Babalao sometimes. But for the most part, the way they kind of treat their husband, all other Babalaos are kind of like spiritual husbands. It doesn't mean they should be sleeping with anyone other than their husband. Let me make that out right now.
Please make that
abundantly. Does not mean anything like that or anything close to that. It just means if a group of Babalaos are at a table and they're eating after work and you're serving your husband, serve your husband first, then come back and serve the other Babalaos. That's all that means. And a lot of times there may be even several Apetebi at a large gathering like that. So everyone has their place, everyone has a role, and everyone's doing what they need to do.
Yeah, that's definitely we gotta make that abundantly clear for some, unscrupulous characters amongst us that try to, do what they do.
Well, and since you mentioned that, let me go ahead and mention something else that I've heard of. Apetebis aren't supposed to be a group of people that I don't even know how to put this without calling anyone out. It's not supposed to be its own clique. It's not supposed to have its own rites and rituals, and you're supposed to be doing something with the Aj every month. That is someone else's want to do what they want to do. That's actually not a part of what goes on with the Apetebi. They're not this witches group. So I just want to put that out because there's a lot of people that have talked to me about that and have asked me about that, about going to the forest every month because I'm an Apetebi and I have to make an offering to the birds. I'm like, why? And they would just say, because it's part of this, So after the same people going through it made it seem like it was part of what an Apetebi is. That's not true. That can be linked to someone's own personal divination.
Right.
But as a group, no, I've never heard of such a thing. So some people are taking advantage of the idea of this and kind of making it its own clique, its own group, without even the idea of, you're actually supposed to move on from that. It's not something you hold on to. It's not meant to do that. So, for example, if someone has their pet that they got their keen and they get married to a Babalao, there's going to be some rites and rituals for which you go through. The Ikin, I believe, are going to be taken away from you. Your bracelet is going to be taken away, popped, whatever they do with it, I don't know. And then what's going to happen is you're going to receive a new bracelet. And, you may go through some rites and rituals. I don't know the ins and outs of that. But you no longer, from my understanding, at least if you're just an Apetebi, you don't have that set of Ikin. Now, notice I said just an Apetebi.
Right. Very interesting. Very interesting. I was trying to get a picture of Ikeen up, but the share feature is acting crazy. So
Mm.
for those that don't know what Ikeen is, are the palm nuts that come from the oped tree. Uh, they are regarded as the vessel for Orunmila in worship. So if you just, I'm going to type in Ikeen Ifa in the chat. If you go put that in, you will get a picture of what we are talking about when we say Ikeen. Okay, so what about when the Babalawo and Orunmila forbid, but he transitions to the Arun, he leaves this plane of existence. What is the responsibility of the Apete be in that, well, going forward from that?
Ooh, I don't know. That is a good question. I'm sure she has some, if not a handful of them. I mean, just the passing of a Babalao, just the funeral rites within themselves, and she's connected. I don't know what necessarily happens, honestly. That is a question I've never bothered to ask or ever really heard of. It's a good question.
Does she continue to worship the Ikeen, you would think?
I am not sure. I do know the Ikeen will stay
Right.
because they're typically not gone, or not all of them. They typically stay there. They're not buried or anything. They stay in, this world. Of course, there's rituals and stuff that are done to it to wipe away, or what I think it's called, to remove the hands of the individual, so the spirit is not trapped or lingers here because it has a connection here. So, but I don't know the ins and outs or even where to begin with that question.
It's very interesting. I'm going to do a little more research on that question, because I think that's something that isn't talked about, and we have
Oh
a
yeah.
lot of since Ifa is so dominant here in the diaspora. A lot of people ascend to Ifa. So sisters that are in the tradition, there's a high chance if you date someone, marry someone, get serious with someone in the tradition.
A lot of them are Ifa practitioners.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard to get away from it, So you need
Yeah,
to know, these
very
things.
few of us are not actually initiated to Ifa.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah.
Oh,
He said that.
that's the shade. It got shady in here.
Oh, what are you talking about?
Oh,
It got dark in there.
Oh man, where did my lights go? Very few of us are not. All right. That's what we're doing. Okay, that's fine.
And look, it's not too much shade.
I'm about to say, you still got a hand.
Yeah, I know I got a hand. See,
this is a good question as well. Oloye says, "What happens if I want to divorce the Babalawo?"
Oh, woo!
Yeah, that's a tough one. That's a tough one.
I have some idea of what happens, but it's. Well, I'll say this first. At least in Yoruba, I don't know all the ins and outs, but from what I have read, talked about slightly with, you want to try not to let that happen. Let's just leave it there, especially if it's an Isheshe practitioner. Truly, you don't really want this to happen. Now, if there's no other choice for your safety and you gotta go, there are things that must be done. There are rituals that must be performed. The problem's probably going to be for most people is, where do you go to, since it's your husband, trying to find people. This is one thing that they have there, with the interconnection and everyone knowing everyone. It's kind of hard to do these things without other people knowing or getting involved there. But here, the only thing that I could truly tell her, or any advice that I can give, is Go find a legitimate, credible Babalao and start speaking to this person, because I don't know the ins and outs, but there are rituals that need to be performed to relieve some of the suffering that might endure because of the divorce. And a lot of this comes from because it's his Ifa that looks after his wife.
Right.
So yeah, that's also another hard place. The only thing I could really advise is, like I said, find a credible and not knowledgeable Babalao, particularly with Inisheshe. This is a Inisheshe series. And if they are credible, and knowledgeable at the same time, they should be able to at least guide you to someone more credible, or be able to perform the rites and rituals yourself, or start looking into it. But it's because I know sometimes these divorces, they're not civil between the two people, and a lot of times that's typically how it turns out. If y'all are civil, and it's a mutual thing, then I would try to get the individual to actually get his elders and get them involved to perform these rites that need to happen.
Absolutely.
But
that's a great question. Apparently, we're not allowed to be together anymore.
it's fine.
And Aloye may have to pay back some dowry. Apparently. Yeah, and I believe this is what you were speaking to. Finding a credible Babalawo or an Awo. But it brings up another interesting question, because that Babalawo is responsible for the needs of his wife. Man, that's tough. Having kind of like a backup plan in case this goes south. A backup Babalawo.
This is why we need community. Right. It's very hard to have just one Baba. It works for a little while, but eventually, even if that one Babalao, if you're in that, because you should be eventually introduced to other people. This tradition is very hard, if not impossible, to do by oneself.
Say it all the time.
Yeah. Give me 1 second. I got to go grab my charger before my phone dies.
All right.
All right.
Oh, Lord, yeah, we're going to put you in time out. You talking about flattening time. No. Leave the west side of Atlanta out of this. We go. Lord have mercy. Man. So, this topic is very important for the women of our community. I believe it's Women's History Month. So we wanted to bring this definitely to the women and the men, so we all can learn, like Baba says, as a community.
Wrong charger.
Lord, Orunmila, help us. This man don't know where his charger is. I want to recommend. Yeah, I got books everywhere. Don't judge me. I want to recommend this book for those that want to read more about Apetebi. It is by the Araba of Oshogbo. You can get this book from elajmarket.com. Put in the chat. elajmarket.com. This is where I get my cola nuts. This is where I get my palm oil. This is where I get the majority of my supplies. It is the Araba's daughter website. She's right there in Atlanta. She does do drop-offs for those that live in Atlanta. You can also order online. So shout out to Ifayemisi Eleubuibon in Ialaje Market for selling good products. You good over there, Ron Burgundy? Your Ialosha says you're never gonna land a news anchor job.
That's a good thing.
You stay classy, San Diego. All right. You mentioned earlier the Bekude seed. I've seen sometimes them substitute the Bekude seed in the bracelet for the Ikin. Have you seen that?
I've heard of it, and I've obviously seen people that have an Ikin in their Ide, but I don't know whether it's an exact substitute. I think it is, but I don't want to be for certain because I do know sometimes, oddly enough, in the Odu Ifa Okaransode, there's a verse that talks about adding a piece of coral. I've also seen people substitute the piece of coral out for an Ikin.
So basically, when you see someone wearing an Ikin in their Otutu Pony 5, this could mean a multiple.
Could be a multitude of things, yes.
Got it.
You know, so there's Bekude seed, there's Ikin that's in them. Yeah, right. The Bekude seed.
So
you know,
y'all don't jump on people when you see this because I see men wearing them as well. So y'all don't jump on men when you see them. This could mean something totally different from what we're talking about.
Now, I've never seen a man bracelet have a Bekude seed in it.
Not a Bekude seed, but an Ikin. I've seen one with.
Oh yeah, now that I've seen. Yeah. I've seen Ikin, the Iyun bead, but I've never seen a Bekude seed.
Yeah, I would have some questions.
Yeah, I've only seen that with females with in particular lineages, not all, but when I do see it, it's like I do Oderemo does, where they put the Bekude seed in it.
Interesting, very interesting. And speaking about the Odu Okanran Sogbe or Isode, that's a Odu that talks a lot about tying Otutu Pony 5 or the bracelets around the wrist, right?
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of verses about that.
Yeah. Okay. You also got to remember that a lot of them do it or adding something to it. But it's always talking about taking the Ide, and talk like the Okaran Sode is really like its translation to the best of my knowledge is like he who is the one that has like fallen or found trouble, tie a bracelet around. And it's the alias of Okaran Obe.
Interesting, very interesting. So,
but it's not the only verse that speaks about marrying.
Right.
Now, but in that particular verse, there's a lot of verses that talk about tying. So there's marriage, there's any reason why you would need to tie a bracelet around or put a necklace around someone, particularly Ifa.
Indeed. So talk about, because we know there are different roles of wives in the culture, in Yoruba culture. Talk about what a principal wife is.
Well, pretty much what it sounds like. It's the head wife.
That's the head wife. She got all the stroke around it.
The principal wife, from what I understand, is the first wife. I don't think it changes. The first wife is going to be the principal wife. Now, that does not necessarily mean, and not to put that out there, but it doesn't mean that the principal wife is his favorite wife. So, for instance, if we are talking about Shango, his principal wife is not his favorite wife.
So staying on that, who is the principal wife?
I believe it's Oba.
The one that nobody talks about. So the numero uno is the one not talked about. So she would be his principal wife. So what role does Oya and or Ashun play? What
Well,
wives?
they're I don't want to say lesser wives, but they're co-wives.
They're co-wives. So who would be his favorite?
Oh, and Sean. Oh, that's you should know. Anyone should know that. The one you always hear. Oh yeah.
I have to play dumb in these interviews.
Okay.
So people will get the information.
Right.
You know, I don't want to be answering my own questions. So
right. But yeah, there's that's was his favorite wife, and a lot that he actually changed about himself, the kingdom effort. The whole reason, from my understanding, why he plaits his hair is because of Oya. One of the reasons why Shango is involved in Egungun and may even have his own Egungun is because of Oya.
That makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, that's really, and yeah, that's I don't want to get any more to it than that, but yeah. But they're really, I mean, the husband, from my understanding, there are certain responsibilities that he has to make sure that every wife is taken care of in the exact same way, whatnot. But it does not necessarily mean that it has to be his favorite, but they do need to be supported in the exact same way. And like the head wife, is in some regards responsible for the other wives when it comes to certain ceremonies, certain events that go on, certain things that need to be taken care of, So it's like anything else, there's a group of women, there's going to be this head woman, and everyone's going to have their own responsibilities of what they need to do. And that head woman's going to make sure that all that gets done, because everything rolls downhill.
You got to go to her. You got to go to even the other wives, they want to get something done. Hey, you got to politic through the principal wife. Hey, can you get him to do this for me?
And in a lot of ways, just to point, in a lot of ways, this is really, if it's done right, I'm not the biggest fan of it. I'm not really against it, but if it's done right, because I've seen it done right a few times. It's a really helpful thing. There's a lot of support in the family. Jesus,
gotta be done right.
Yeah, it's got to be right though. But in the same sense, at least referring to there, it gets kind of crazy when the husband passes away, because all the male children start buying for the mother, start buying for their children. So sometimes it can get a little, I'm just gonna say that, a little
dicey.
Yeah,
a little dicey.
A little
That is yeah, I could see that. So let's talk about some of the pete bees in the text, in the Odu Ifa, some of the wives of Orunmila. So what's the first one that comes to mind for you?
Oh man, what doesn't come to mind to me?
Because for people that don't know, Orunmila had a lot of wives, man.
I'm saying, what does not come to mind? Hold on. So are we keeping to Orisha?
Nope.
Okay, so let's just say Oshun, from which I believe the term derives from. Is it? No. I'm not quite sure.
You mean a Petebi or Iyawo?
Not quite sure.
It might be from Oshun.
Yeah, but Oshun is one wife.
Okay.
Let's see. We have Olokun.
Olokun, the sea, the ocean.
Right.
Isn't there something about Olokun and her daughter, and something to that aspect with that story?
It's something like I don't remember it exactly, but it's something one of Olokun's daughters or something were sick, or some child, and then apparently called on Orunmila. Long story short, Orunmila ended up healing the child, and then ended up staying with Olokun because Orunmila supposedly found peace there. You know, and that's sometimes what I've heard. Orunmila's last wife.
Right. Why we say Olokun Asoro Dayo?
That might be where that comes from. Yeah.
I think so. I think it does.
Now, outside of Orisha, there's we have Iwa.
Character. So Orunmila is married to character.
We have Aje.
Orisha of wealth. So that makes sense.
To take it in another direction, the Oponifa.
The very tray that we use to divine on Orunmila is married to.
The Hierosun.
The very powder we put on the tray to divine to Orunmila is married to.
So this can go on for a while. I'm not going to go through every last one I know.
Oh, we can be done, brother. We got some more.
That's already 6 right there.
What about Odu?
That's another one. They're all over the place. I mean, it's hard to because we also got to talk about all those wives that aren't necessarily Orisha or objects either. There's a whole load of them.
I would say from my vantage point in reading a lot of the Odu and Itan sacred stories, Orunmila, things that Orunmila would need and things that Orunmila is known for, he married.
There's a lot of truth in that.
He made sure that would be close to him. You know, like, yeah, I need that. So Orunmila, like I said, he got a lot of wives, man. And it all right. Orunmila, he used to travel a lot as well. So there would be times where he would be gone from his wife for years. And then just
Hold on, wait. Let's actually give years a number. Like 4 to 5 to 6, if not more, years gone.
No, and then just show back up like, oh yeah, I was out divining for whoever. Oh, I picked up another couple of wives while I was gone. And then sometimes people would give Orunmila wives as payment for, doing such a good job with whatever.
That comes with a lot of the rulers that he helps.
Right.
Normally giving his daughters and whatnot. Yeah.
Take the most beautiful woman in my land. Take, And he be like, all right. I mean, when you got the juice, you can take care of all of them, I guess. I mean, that's Orunmila. So what are some of the benefits that you see of being an Apetebi?
Providing if you're in a good community that's knowledgeable, just within, I know this is not really anything big, but in my opinion, just because of where we are in the diaspora, I think just knowing how to worship properly in an Isheshe manner is a big thing, though it really shouldn't be, but we really don't have any standards here. So that within itself is a huge jump. But a lot of the benefits, especially like I said, if you have a knowledgeable, you learn some of the ins and outs that you typically don't, or people that aren't aware of, like how to count out the ikim for when you have to clean them, the different ways to clean ikim, the proper way, or even the correct vessels to keep them in. how to actually manage and take care of them after they're clean. Just not, I don't want to give anything away because, a lot of the stuff is taught, like unless you haven't cleaned your ikeen out for a long time and you got all kind of stuff in there, there should be no reason why your EFI has mold or growing mold. If you take care of it properly, and people will know what I'm talking about when I say that. If you don't, then you just don't. But if you take care of it properly, this will never happen. So you might even get a chance to learn even like how to make omero in some form or fashion. Because you are going to be constant, especially if you're married or around other babalaos that you're helping, they're constantly doing work. You're going to learn just by being around it. You're going to learn things that, typically you probably wouldn't learn at any other time. You're obviously going to learn chants. I don't see why an Apete B would not be a devotee of Ifa and worship like an Ifa practitioner. It would make sense for them to do so. Because they're going to.
Ifa would definitely be one of the benefits.
Right. And then on top of that, if you are married directly in your home, you're responsible for providing to his Ifa. You divine, you gas for his Ifa, for his welfare, for your, for the family. So you also get kind of put in a role, in a sense, where you type. I'm not saying like a leadership role within the community, but within your own family. Oh, crap!
What you done did?
It wasn't charging.
Oh boy, I think he's about to drop off. all Orisha worshipers should have dependable electronics. I mean, I'm just gonna put that out there, and I hope you can still hear me because I'm talking about you. Fortunately, that was my last question. So thank you all for coming out and listening. During Women's History Month, we felt this was imperative to bring to people because, like I said earlier, there's a lot of people in the diaspora, Ifa-dominated culture over here. You most likely, if you date within the culture, you're going to meet and date a brother that is initiated to Ifa. So it's imperative to know what you're getting yourself into. If you plan on getting serious with this guy, he's going in the direction of becoming a Babalawo. You're going in the direction of being his wife. You will inherit this title of Epetibi. So it's good to know what your responsibilities would be, what to be expected of you, what you should expect of him, and the bond spiritually that will be created by that union. Not only uniting your lineages and your families, but uniting in the quote unquote house of Ifa. So it's good to know that, so you can make an informed decision. I don't know, Aloya. I don't know why he refuses to get an iPhone. I told him to make his life much easier. I don't know. Peace, Robert. Appreciate you coming through, bro. As always, my brother Ogunbola coming through Akbo Ato to you as well. I appreciate everybody for coming through an E-Day training camp. That would have to be Ogundiran. I'm not a beater by any stretch of the imagination. I tried it once. I probably need the same training camp as you do, because it was not successful. It was not successful when I was trying to bead. I get Ogundiran to make all. I get either Ogundiran or Oloye Aikuola Iwindara to make all of my all of my beads. I'm not a beater by any stretch of the imagination. Let me say this. This is not an Orisha tradition, Brujas or something else. So let me just make that clear. Peace, Sister Benita. Thank you for coming through. Oh, there he is.
Sorry about that.
You, boy, sometimes you people just let you down. Let you down.
The one thing I forgot to do last night is charge my phone. And didn't have time to do it this morning.
So I got some follow-up questions since you're back.
All right, cool.
An Iyanifa, a priest of Ifa,
Mm-hmm.
can she be an Iyanifa and an Epetebi at the same time?
This is kind of a trick question. So I'm not going to get into the idea of I don't know why I just I'm not going to get into the idea. Well, first let me explain this. So Iyanifa, from my understanding, there are three things in Iyanifa.
Wait, stop.
What?
You was pixelated like a mug. Like, okay, you good now.
Okay. So there's three ways an Iyanifa can be used, to the best of my knowledge. One as a priest of, or a divining, a woman who divines with Ifa. The other is there within an Ifa initiation, there is a role of someone called the Iyanifa. That's another one. And the other one is when you have a group of Apetebi, they can nominate someone to be an Iyanifa of their group, which means they're the head of the Apetebis. But this typically happens in larger groups of Babalaos.
Interesting. That kind of turns my question on his head.
Yeah, that's why I was like, this is,
Okay, let me be specific. As a priest of Ifa, a diviner in Iyanifa, can you be an Iyanifa and an Apetebi at the same time?
The age-old question. I don't know. I don't think you can, but I don't know. It doesn't make sense in the way it supposedly works out.
Right.
Like you're going to be a diviner on top of having a diviner that takes care of it and divines for you and all your needs. It's like,
it's tough. And then it puts people in a position, because if you're a woman and you meet and you've been an Iyanifa for how many years, and then you meet a gentleman.
Yeah, so it's this is an area again I would leave to a more person that's actually more qualified to answer that, because that's like a trick question.
And if
that's
the
like
answer is no, you got to ask yourself, do I love him enough to stop doing what I spend all this money getting trained to do? Do I, I don't think that's going to work out too well, because you're going to have to fight, and if he doing anything different, what if you the better diviner? Like, what?
Honestly, I'm not going to mention any names, but I've ran into this problem before.
Please don't mention names.
I ran into this problem before.
Oh wow!
Matter of fact, it was so bad that I knew I was wrong to ask, but I couldn't. I actually asked for his wife instead of him.
Oh.
She's just a far better diviner.
I'm about to say, well, you paying the money, so
So
I should be able to shoes. Who I
Yeah,
want?
it didn't fly very well. I don't know how that turned out. I didn't end up getting the divination, but it was years and years ago. But I don't know. I guess it didn't fly very well between them, or I don't know. I don't know. So
There's actually a verse like that with Orunmila and Yemoja. I don't know if it's in the Sheshe verse though, because it talks about him leaving, being gone for a while, and her having to take over. Actually, I think it was Obatala now. No, it wasn't. No, it was Orunmila because of the 16 with the. I definitely know it's not in the Sheshe verse now, but
okay.
it talks about him teaching her, him leaving, her picking up the divining duties, and then people starting to come to her, and
That
him.
sounds like Oshun in
I
Lukumi.
can actually tell you what book this is in. It's in one of Falokun's books,
Oh, well, there you go.
and basically him coming back in a disguise to see how good she was. But when she divined, she discovered through the divination that it was Orunmila in disguise. So she ran, and
Okay.
came from that. So this is definitely something that someone has noticed before. Shouts out to brother Unk for coming through and spelling my name wrong as he always does. There's not a C in my name, and there's not an ER either, but that's just what he does. But
Calling everybody out today, aren't you?
sick of it. But I will. Last question, and we're gonna wrap it up.
Okay.
Title Iyalode, which from the book Apete B, it talks about a female chieftain in most Yoruba societies. So Iyalode, it says it often calls the women of the town or public for discussions of various issues. She acts as the mouthpiece in council meetings with the king or government. Do you almost have to be in a PTB to be in Iyalode?
Okay, well, let's first back up. That title, from my understanding, can be used in a lot of different ways because it's also a civic title. So what I think Iyalode means, I think the Ode in this means outside. So it's like the woman of the outside. So she handles a lot of the affairs of everywhere. I think that's, without knowing the accent marks. But you hear that same thing in Egbe. That's one of the Egbe groups.
Yep, sure is.
So it has a lot. It depends on what it's attached to. Not necessarily if it's a civic title for someone becoming the Iyalode. No, I guess they don't necessarily have to become. They don't need to be an Orisha worshiper because it doesn't entail anything about Orisha necessarily. So it really depends if that it's attached to an Orisha group, what its necessarily obligations are. But yeah, that's kind of like a generic. Okay, look at it in the same way as we look at like Atayesi. It could be here, then it could be attached to something else to another title, but doesn't necessarily have to be involved with this quote unquote, the Atayesi of Ile Ife. Mm-hmm. It could be the Atayesi Oba something, Atayesi. So they might have, yeah. They might not have originated from Ifa. I'm not quite sure about that, but some of these are kind of
sprouted into different traditions. Yeah, it makes sense. That makes a lot of sense. So that's about all we got today. I will close with please check out our brother of Orisha Lifestyle's latest video, Tarot is Not Ifa. I think it's a great video that breaks down why some of these other things Some of these other New Age systems are not in our tradition, and he breaks down why you hear people from Nigeria, people from America, people from all walks of life trying to incorporate those into Orisha because of a certain reason. I think he breaks down that beautifully in this video. So I would encourage you to look it up. I believe his channel is called Obafemio. I will put that in the chat for you.
It's sad that you even got to mention that.
Oh no, I got to mention it at this point.
Yeah.
Thank you for finally spelling my name right, Unc. Yes, Obafemio, go look at that video. Ifa is not tarot. Tarot is not Ifa. Our divinities do not speak through tarot cards. Great video to watch. It's only about 10 minutes. So shouts out to him.
Is it new? Like, did it just put out recently?
Yeah, yesterday.
Oh, I think I'll go watch it then.
Yeah, it's a good video. So that's it. That's all. Enjoy your Saturdays, Mossi Warrior supporters. Thank you.
I wanted to give a shout out to Infinite Minds, by the way, if he's still up on here. I'm not quite sure.
Oh yeah, always. Appreciate his support of the channel. Everybody that supports what we do, appreciate you to the fullest. And with that being said,
I don't want to be